So give me a brief about the Torfaen Community and Volunteer Awards and how they started and what's it all about this year, Callum?
Yeah, so we at Torfaen Voluntary Alliance, recognise the importance in celebrating volunteering across Torfaen, and for a number of years now, we've held various different events and opportunities, I guess, to do that, to really recognise and celebrate the work that volunteers and voluntary groups do across Torfaen. And I think now more than ever, throughout the last sort of 12 or 15 months with COVID, it's as important as ever. So yeah, various events in previous years, usually taking place throughout Volunteers Week, with a bit of an annual sort of celebration or recognition event, a bit of an afternoon tea type of occasion, and yeah, as I say, really bringing together and saying thank you to local volunteers in Torfaen. Now this year, with the Torfaen Community and Volunteer Awards, we've looked to build it and develop it a little from previous years, and we've brought in various different partners, and pleased to be working quite closely with Torfaen County Borough Council and Nyren Bevan University Health Board to really put on a real celebration and an event this year. So yeah, I think we're going to talk a little later about some of the various categories that we've got, and a little bit more about the ceremony itself, I guess.
So talking about the categories, there are 10. Let's kick it off first. The first one is Adult Volunteer of the Year.
Yeah, so Adult Volunteer of the Year, and this is to recognise an individual 26 years of age or above for their contribution and impact in the community. So as I mentioned there previously, we very much recognise that there's individuals throughout the borough that have done lots of good work over the last 12 months, as I say, throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, but also focusing a little more so on those that have been volunteering for the last 5 years or more, or volunteering is very much part and parcel of their day-to-day life. So that one's a little bit more to focus on those that have made volunteering very, very much part of what it is that they do, and an adult volunteer.
And then from adult, we go to the Young Volunteer of the Year.
Yes, so this is recognising an individual under the age of 25 years old, and we know that through much of our work, there's various and a number of young people actually that are volunteering right the way from sort of 13 or 14 years of age upwards, and making it part of their learning and development. I think volunteering has never been so important or recognised so much by young people as a real sort of opportunity to get involved in their community and develop and gain skills and knowledge and those kind of things.
Then on to Trustee of the Year. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so Trustee, I wonder, often sometimes forgotten as volunteers, perhaps not so much forgotten, but under the radar a little, often in positions on various boards and committees and those kind of things with voluntary groups across Torfaen. And yeah, I guess a case of maybe sometimes going under the radar with their work. So yeah, really important to recognise the commitment and the hard work of a trustee and a dedication. And as it says within some of our guidance as well, that includes a committee member from a local group or village hall, community venue, for example.
And of course, not forgetting PTAs across Torfaen, put a few of them as well.
Yeah.
The Heart of the Community Award, now, that's all about recognising a group, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So the Heart of the Community, we've sort of tagged that little name on there, recognising a group of volunteers for their contribution and impact in the community. So we've got some individual type awards and categories there early on, but really, as we've said, recognising and celebrating the work that groups have done. And again, looking back over the last year or so, there's been a number of new groups that have set up throughout COVID to support their communities, and really have that community feel amongst these groups. There's members of the community supporting their own community, and you know, those that they live nearby. So really important to not forget about groups here, groups of volunteers.
And on to the environment, quite important, of course, across the borough for the Environmental Volunteer Award. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, so in environmental, I know when we was looking at putting together these categories, I mean, there was lots of different suggestions, and I think we could have, you know, probably done more categories. We could have gone on for some time, but environmental was certainly an important one. I think it's real important and high on a lot of people's agenda at the moment, if I'm honest. And you know, there's the climate change sort of discussion there. But we again notice and see lots of great work taking place across Torfaen in relation to environmental volunteering, whether it be litter pickers or you know, work on you know, canals and those kind of things. So a real important one to recognise with the environmental volunteering.
So that's halfway through the categories. Onto the second half with personal journey. Tell me about that category.
Yeah, personal journey. So something a little bit different here. Again, focusing on an individual, but this time an individual who's overcome barriers or developed themselves personally through their volunteering. So quite often we see an individual will come to us, maybe in the first instance, not even, you know, focusing or taking a look at volunteering, just ways to sort of, you know, engage with their community, you know, access various different services and opportunities to engage, I think, and you know, take part in their community. But from there, it may often does lead on to some sort of volunteering. So whether it be some mental health issues, some physical health issues, you know, a real sort of personal story is what we're looking for here, and how they've how they've overcome some barriers, and you know, and how volunteering has helped with that potentially.
And then on to the COVID-19 Response Hero Award.
Yeah. So again, I know I've mentioned on a couple of occasions here the COVID-19 pandemic over the last year or more, and this category is exactly what that has been set up to do, and recognising an individual for their outstanding service to the community during the COVID-19 pandemic. Again, I know I've mentioned there that various groups and individuals have really stepped up in their community in the last year or more, and this is the category to celebrate their work and recognise that and say thank you. It also sort of ties into some recognition work that we've done earlier this year with some venues and plaques that we'd awarded throughout the borough also.
Now the next category is something new for us, I suppose. It's the Business of the Year category.
Yeah, so recognising a local business for their contribution and impact in the community. We, again, whilst looking at various different categories, felt that businesses shouldn't be overlooked. And again, we know that lots of businesses have stepped up in the last year or more to support their community, whether it be local sort of transport providers, and you know, just how businesses have really supported with whether it be their time, resources, you know, I guess there's all kinds of different ways in which businesses have supported their local community. So we felt that this was really important one again to get in there, and I know that we've already had a couple of nominations from this category, so it'll be good to see some others come in also.
Now, sport is quite a major part of Torfaen, and we have the Sport Volunteer Award this year, don't we?
Yes, Sports Volunteer Award. So again, recognising an individual for their contribution to sport, and we know there's, you know, various different coaches across sports clubs in Torfaen. How active they've been able to be over the last year, not so sure, but we're again with this category looking a little further afield and how they've been volunteering over the last you know, the last couple of years, I think. And as I've mentioned, they're coaches and swimming clubs and those kind of things, football, rugby, you know, various different sports across our borough and clubs. and it ties in quite nicely here as well. One of our judging members on the panel does come from a sporting background, so I think that's quite a nice little tie in there as well, with our judging, one of our panel members on the judge.
So finally, the last category will be the Health Volunteer of the Year.
Yes, so this one is particularly looking at how an individual or group of volunteers have supported health and well-being in their community. So I know we recently had the new hospital open up in Torfaen, the University Grange Hospital in Cwmbran. So any volunteering within hospital settings, I think befriending and befrienders certainly would fall into this category as well. And again, you know, just to tie in with our judging panel, and a health, and how we've got a member of the health board and a representative from an Island Bevan University Health Board sitting on our panel this year. So again, I think very much recognising that this is an important one with health volunteering.
So they are all the categories. The important thing now is, how can people nominate?
Yes, so we've got a nice online form in which you can go to our website, tvawales.org.uk, and you'll see all the information there for our online form. Alternatively, you can download a paper copy, and we're more than happy to provide paper copies as well, should we need to. And yeah, that's how you nominate. I believe it's a fairly short nomination form. I think there's 3 or 4 questions there, and some other sort of bits of information and details that we're taking also. But yeah, pretty straightforward. And if anyone does require any help or any accessibility issues with those forms, they can let us know.
Not forgetting the deadline, and it's coming up very close, is the 30th of July to get all those nominations in.
Yeah, 30th of July. So we're one last push now over the next week or so. We've been fortunate to receive lots of great nominations already, but there's some categories there that probably, you know, there's still some nominations to come in, I would expect, and that we need to really promote. We're really conscious we don't want to miss any of the good work that's been happening in Torfaen from a group or an individual. So if you are aware of a group or person that can fit into any of these categories here, then do be sure to nominate.
Get on the website, is tvawales.org.uk, and get it in for the 30th of July. And the ceremony itself is the 2nd of October.
Yeah, so we're building towards quite an exciting event, hopefully, with everything crossed. And yes, as you say, Saturday the 2nd of October, a bit of an evening function, and very much looking forward to that and bringing together all these great groups and individuals to really celebrate across an evening.
Callum, thank you.
Yes, thank you.